The king's courier arrived at Lady Nettia's door before sunrise. She had been expecting him. The message was short. The king was done waiting. Every morning for 3 years, thousands of sensitive royal documents had made the same journey, from the physical palace, out onto the world road, through foreign territories, and finally into the private city, exposed, inconsistent, sometimes fast, sometimes not, always on a road the kingdom did not own. The king called Lady Nettia and Corridor to the palace. He did not sit. He stood at the window and looked out at the world road, the great shared thoroughfare that every kingdom, every merchant, every stranger in the world used. His documents traveled that road every day. The palace's most sensitive correspondence, his military planning records, the treasury accounts, all of it mixed in with fish deliveries and foreign gossip, because there had never been another option. I want my own road, he said, not a shared road with a lock on it. My road, built for me. That goes where I need it to go and nowhere else. Lady Nettia did not answer immediately. She had known this conversation was coming since she built the first corridor. She had known it would be the hardest thing she had ever constructed. She also knew it was the right call. A private highway between the palace and the private city. Direct, dedicated, belonging entirely to the kingdom. It would cost a fortune, it would take months, and once built, it would be the most reliable connection the kingdom had ever known. Corridor asked the practical question, what about smaller kingdoms who need to connect? Or the palace's regional offices, the ones that cannot wait 8 months for their own highway? Lady Nettia had an answer for that too. For those cases, she had already designed something different. Not a highway, a tunnel, dug secretly under the world road, invisible from above, sealed and encrypted so that even if someone discovered it, they could read nothing inside. Not as fast, not as consistent, but built in days, not months, and available to anyone who needed it. The king approved both. The royal highway for the palace, encrypted passages for the regional offices. Lady Nettia's engineers began work the same week. The highway required physical construction. Actual road layers, actual materials, actual workers moving between the physical palace and a way station at the edge of AWS territory. The way station was a neutral building, not inside the private city, not outside it, where the highway formally entered the kingdom's network and was routed to its final destination. The way station detail was not optional. The royal highway did not run straight from the palace doorstep to the private city's inner roads. It ran from the palace to the way station and from the way station into the network. This was not a design flaw, it was how physical roads worked. You could not lay private tarmac through every other kingdom's land between your palace and your city. You drove your road to a point where you entered your own territory. From there, the city's internal network took over. Gerald heard about the royal highway 3 months before it was finished. He found Lady Nettia reviewing the construction plans and asked her a direct question. Will this work for my trade partners who are not kingdoms? The ones with offices 3 streets from the palace, who need consistent connections to the private city but cannot afford their own highways? Lady Nettia pointed to the tunnel designs. The encrypted passage is exactly for them. It uses the world road, but nothing inside the tunnel can be read by anyone on that road. Fast to build, inexpensive to maintain, and the contents are protected even if the road is not. Gerald considered this. So the highway is for people who need the road to always work the same way, regardless of how busy the world road is that day. And the tunnel is for people who need protection but can accept that sometimes the world road has traffic jams. Exactly, said Lady Nettia. The highway is consistency. The tunnel is convenience. They are not competing answers. They solve different problems. 8 months later, the royal highway opened. The king's first shipment of documents arrived in the private city in the same time every morning, regardless of weather, regardless of world road conditions, regardless of what any other kingdom was doing. The bandwidth was 10 times what any shared road had ever offered. The king stood at the arrival point and watched the first convoy come in. He turned to Lady Nettia. Why did we not build this 10 years ago? She did not answer. The honest answer was that 10 years ago the private city did not exist. The regional offices switched to encrypted passages within the same month. The passages took 2 days to dig. Each one ran under the world road, invisible from above, carrying encoded cargo that nobody on the road could intercept. The connection was not as fast or as consistent as the royal highway. When the world road had heavy traffic, the passage slowed with it, but it was private, it was quick to establish. And for offices that did not need the guaranteed bandwidth of a dedicated highway, it was more than sufficient. In AWS, the Royal Highway is called AWS Direct Connect. And like the highway, once it is built, it carries far more than any shared road ever could, at speeds that never vary with the weather. It is a dedicated physical fiber connection between your on-premises data center or office and an AWS Direct Connect location, a co-location facility where AWS maintains network infrastructure. From the Direct Connect location, a virtual interface carries traffic into the AWS network and to your VPC. Like the Royal Highway with its way station, Direct Connect does not run fiber directly into your VPC. It terminates at the DX location first, then your traffic enters AWS through a private network path. The encrypted passage is called Site-to-Site VPN. It creates an encrypted tunnel over the public internet between your on-premises network and your VPC. Setup takes minutes rather than months. It costs a fraction of Direct Connect. But because it travels over the public internet, its performance varies with internet conditions. Latency and bandwidth are never guaranteed. The tunnel contents are encrypted. Nobody can read the traffic, but the road it travels is still shared. The exam distinction is this: Direct Connect provides consistent bandwidth, predictable latency, and never touches the public internet. Traffic travels AWS's private backbone from the DX location to your VPC. It requires physical infrastructure, takes weeks to months to provision, and costs significantly more. Site-to-Site VPN takes minutes to set up, costs much less, but shares the public internet and offers no bandwidth guarantee. Key volume, latency-sensitive, compliance-heavy workloads use Direct Connect. Smaller offices, backup connectivity, and quick-start hybrid architectures use VPN. There is one exam scenario that combines both. A company has a Direct Connect connection for primary traffic, but Direct Connect can fail. A fiber cut, a facility issue, or a routing problem. For resilience, they add a Site-to-Site VPN as a backup. When Direct Connect is healthy, all traffic uses it. If Direct Connect goes down, traffic fails over to the VPN automatically. This is called a Direct Connect plus VPN failover architecture, and it is one of the most commonly tested hybrid connectivity patterns on the SAA exam. The exam will also ask about Direct Connect Gateway. If you have multiple VPCs in different regions and need to connect all of them to your on-premises network through a single Direct Connect connection, you use a Direct Connect Gateway. It acts as a central point that your one physical connection attaches to, from which you can reach VPCs across multiple regions. Without it, each VPC connection would require a separate physical circuit. With it, one highway serves many destinations. Gerald's trade routes settled into a new rhythm. Documents from the palace arrived on schedule. Regional partners connected through their encrypted passages. The world road still existed, still carried everything else, but the kingdom's most sensitive traffic no longer depended on it. Lady Nettia looked at the completed map one evening and felt something she rarely allowed herself: satisfaction. The city was connected to the outside world exactly as much as it needed to be, and no more. Corridor found her there. He was carrying a new set of plans. "My lady," he said, "there's one remaining problem. Engineers who need to perform maintenance on the inner sanctum's war machines are still outside the city walls. The encrypted passages and the royal highway bring traffic in from the palace and the regional offices. But an individual engineer sitting at home with a maintenance tool has no way to reach the inner sanctum directly. The inner sanctum has no public entrance, and we cannot open one." Lady Nettia looked at his plans. She already knew what was on them. Episode 11. The Bastion.